I'm Maya Ellis, a systems engineer who spent the last 2 years pouring my soul into Apex Pulse Logistics, a sprawling e-commerce fulfillment company right here in Atlanta, Georgia. Picture this. I'm elbow deep in a tangle of wires, trying to coax a robotic arm back to life, when I glance up at the project banner strung across the warehouse. Congratulations to the automation team, led by Evan Pierce. My name's there, tucked in small print, but it's wrong. Maya Ellis spelled as Maya Ellis. 2 years of grinding, coding through midnight storms and soldering circuits until my fingers blistered, and they couldn't even get my name right. That's when it hit me. This wasn't about glory. This was just another day in a corporate machine that chewed up people like me and spit out their bones. I grew up in my mom's auto repair shop on the west side of Atlanta, a place that smelled of grease and determination. Mom raised me alone, fixing cars by day and teaching me to tinker with whatever I could get my hands on. Old radios, busted calculators, anything with a spark. By 15, I built my first circuit board, a clunky thing that powered a toy car across our living room. That spark became my life. But it wasn't all smooth. In my 20s, I worked for a tech startup that promised me the stars, only to steal my software design and leave me with nothing but a pat on the head. That betrayal stung deep, so I swore I'd never let anyone take my work again. I started Ellis Inc. Solutions, my own LLC, to protect what I built. And what I built was Athena, a synchronization controller so sleek it could make a warehouse of robots dance like they were auditioning for Broadway. Apex Pulse. I was the lead systems integration specialist, which sounds fancy, but meant I was the one called at 3 a.m. when a drone pallet crashed or a conveyor belt threw a tantrum. I dragged myself to the warehouse, Athena's code humming in my laptop, and fix what no one else could. Athena was my secret weapon, a black box I'd built in my garage years ago, smarter than anything the company's overpriced suppliers churned out. I slipped her into the system, no questions asked, because she worked. Nobody cared how. She was just the blinking lunchbox thing, keeping their operation alive. But every time I saw my name misspelled or heard someone like Lila Monroe, our marketing director, take credit for my fixes, it felt like a paper cut on my pride. I'd think of Mom, her hands calloused from wrenches, telling me, "Maya, you build something great. You hold it tight. Don't let the vultures take it." So I did. Athena was mine, registered to my LLC, and I wasn't about to let Apex Pulse claim her. That banner, though, it wasn't just a typo. It was a neon sign screaming I was invisible here. I'd pour my coffee, grit my teeth, and keep going, but deep down, I felt the weight of being the one they called when things broke, but forgot when the applause started. I wasn't just fighting bad code. I was fighting to be seen. Every morning at Apex Pulse started the same, a quick sync meeting that stretched into a 2-hour blame fest. I'd sit at the conference table, my laptop open to Athena's diagnostics, while Joseph Holt from procurement droned on about budget overruns, his Savannah drawl thick as molasses. Lila Monroe, our marketing director, would interrupt to complain that the robots weren't Instagram ready, as if I could code charisma into a conveyor belt. Meanwhile, I'd spent the night rewriting back-end logic to stop a drone from eating a pallet of yoga mats.
Nobody asked about that.
They just wanted to know why the quarterly report didn't have flashier graphs. Evan Pierce, our CTO, was the worst. He'd strut in, all Miami swagger, tossing buzzwords like disruptive innovation while taking credit for my work. I'd watch him present my system tweaks as his vision in board meetings, my stomach twisting. Once, I overheard him tell a client, "Our team's revolutionized logistics," as if I hadn't been the one debugging his revolutionary system at 4 a.m. Lila was no better. She'd swoop in post-launch, claiming my fixes as her strategic oversight. Joseph, meanwhile, kept pushing me to use the company's shoddy sync modules, which overheated faster than a Georgia summer. When I swapped them for Athena, he didn't notice, just grumbled about costs. I'd smile and nod, but inside, I was screaming. Athena was mine, built with my own money, coded in my garage, and they didn't deserve her. Those nights alone in the warehouse, with only Athena's blinking lights for company, were my refuge and my cage. I'd feel the weight of Mom's words, "Hold it tight, Maya," and my old wounds from that startup betrayal would ache. I wasn't just fixing robots. I was proving I wasn't that naive kid who let her work get stolen. But every ignored email, every stolen credit, chipped away at me. I drive home at dawn, Atlanta's skyline fading in my rear view, feeling like I was pouring my heart into a machine that didn't see me. Yet I kept going, fueled by pride and a stubborn streak that wouldn't let Lila, Joseph, or Evan win. Athena was my proof I was more than their fix-it girl. I just didn't know how soon they'd force me to prove it. Athena wasn't born in a shiny lab. She came to life in a rented garage off Peachtree Street, where the air smelled of motor oil and my own stubborn hope. Years ago, after that startup in my 20s swiped my code and left me with nothing, I vowed to build something no one could take. I was working odd tech jobs then, saving every penny to rent that garage, a cramped, concrete box with flickering lights and a single outlet. It was my sanctuary. There, surrounded by scavenged circuit boards and my mom's old toolbox, I built Athena, a synchronization controller that could make a chaotic warehouse hum like a symphony. I named her Athena for the goddess of wisdom and war because she was both smart enough to predict system failures and tough enough to handle a warehouse full of glitchy bots. Every chip I soldered, every line of code I wrote, carried my anger from that betrayal and my mom's voice. Don't let the vultures take it. So I protected Athena, filing her under Ellisync Solutions, my LLC, with trademarks and patents locked tighter than a bank vault. When I joined Apex Pulse, I brought her with me, not as a gift but as a tool. Their suppliers' modules were trash, frying under pressure, so I slipped Athena into the system. Try this custom patch, I told Joseph, and he shrugged, too busy pinching pennies to care. Athena worked, so they didn't ask questions. She was just a blinking box in Dock Bay 2, syncing their robots while I updated her firmware on my personal laptop. I'd watch her hum along, pride swelling in my chest, but also a quiet dread. Apex Pulse didn't know Athena was mine, and I didn't tell them. I'd learned the hard way that companies like this don't value people like me. They value what they can claim. Every time Lila called Athena a controller patch, or Evan ignored my late-night fixes, I felt that old wound throb. But I also felt Athena's heartbeat, steady and mine, reminding me I wasn't powerless. I just didn't know how much power I'd need to wield. Demo day at Apex Pulse was a spectacle, robots gliding, inventory flowing, Athena conducting it all like a maestro. Clients clapped, executives toasted with overpriced champagne, and I stood in the back, sipping from a plastic cup, my chest tight with pride and something sour. I'd built this, poured 2 years of my life into it, and yet no one said my name. Not Evan, who was already preening for a Forbes quote, nor Lila, who was pitching our vision to bloggers. I should have been used to it, but it stung like a fresh cut. The next morning, the silence was louder. No invite to the debrief, no email about next steps, just a calendar ping for an HR transition discussion. I overheard them first, though, outside conference room B, their voices leaking through the glass. Lila, with her peppermint smile, said, "Maya did her part, but the system runs itself now. She won't make a fuss." Joseph snorted, "She's not the type." Evan added, "Let's keep it clean. Standard exit, no noise." My coffee went cold in my hand. They thought I was disposable, a cog they could toss after Athena made them look like geniuses. Friday, 9 a.m., HR's Michelle greeted me like we were planning a picnic. "Maya, you've laid the foundation for our next chapter," she said, sliding exit papers across the table. No severance, no mention of Athena, just a script about project-based roles and a pen that didn't work until I jabbed it twice. I signed, my heart pounding, not with tears, but with a cold, sharp clarity. They hadn't listed Athena in the asset inventory. No one asked about the blinking box in Dock Bay 2, the one I owned, the one that kept their empire alive. I walked out, badge empty, but my mind was racing. They'd betrayed me, but they'd also handed me a weapon. I wasn't done. I was just getting started. I didn't cry when I got home. I didn't scream or burn my Apex Pulse lanyard in a dramatic backyard fire. I just made coffee, sat by my window, and watched a neighbor's dog chase its tail in the Atlanta dusk. The betrayal burned, but it wasn't loud. It was quiet, like a fuse sizzling toward dynamite. They thought they could erase me, but they forgot Athena. She was mine, registered to Ellis Sync Solutions, and they hadn't even noticed. That oversight was my leverage, and I was ready to use it. I opened my laptop and started typing. License agreement for Athena Sync Controller, licensor, Ellis Sync Solutions, LLC. I set the terms, $50,000 a month, non-negotiable, with a 30-day renewal window. If they didn't pay, Athena would throttle their systems, a soft shutdown that'd grind their warehouse to a halt. It wasn't sabotage, it was enforcement. I called Talia Reed, my college roommate turned IP lawyer, who worked out of a sleek office in Athens, Georgia. Over FaceTime, she crunched pretzels and read my draft, her eyes lighting up. "You built this thing from scratch?" she asked. I nodded, showing her Athena's blueprints, stored on a secure drive. "This is bulletproof," she said. "They never logged it, never paid for it. You've got them." I spent the night coding a heartbeat check into Athena's firmware. Every 30 days, she'd ping my server for a renewal code. No code, no sync, simple, clean, and legal. My hands shook, not from fear, but from the weight of what I was doing. I wasn't just protecting my work, I was reclaiming my worth. Mom's voice echoed, "Hold it tight, Maya." As I saved the code, I felt the pain of Apex Pulse's dismissal morph into something colder, sharper, resolve. They'd learn what it cost to underestimate me. I mailed the licensing agreement to Apex Pulse legal team, sealed in a crisp black envelope with a post-it. "Athena's watching. Renewal due in 19 days. Then I waited. They didn't reply. Emails came. First polite, like Megan from finance asking about asset transfers, then urgent, with words like IP concerns in bold. I ignored them, watching Athena's dashboard from my Atlanta apartment. Her stats were perfect, 97% sync efficiency, load balancing steady, but the clock was ticking to by week 3. Athena's performance caps kicked in. Without the renewal code, she slowed non-critical routes. Robots in the warehouse started looping, circling pallets of air fryers like lost puppies. Jaden, the DevOps intern who'd once called Athena the heart of everything, texted me a blurry photo of the chaos. "Fulfillment's down 20%. Is this you?" I replied, not directly, but my heart raced. Southern Star Freight, Apex Pulse's big client, noticed. They called about 2-hour scan delays, demanding answers. Lila and Joseph scrambled. Evan barked about firmware patches, but they were clueless. Athena wasn't broken. She was following my orders. Talia called, her voice half laughing, half worried. "Maya, you're playing chess with a nuke. Sure you want to push this far?" I stared at my laptop, Athena's heartbeat blinking steadily. Part of me felt guilty. Jaden didn't deserve this mess. But the bigger part remembered Lila's smirk, Joseph's shrugs, Evan's stolen credit. They'd built their empire on my work and thought they could toss me aside. Now their warehouse was choking, Southern Star was fuming, and I held the key. I wasn't gloating, but damn, it felt good to watch them squirm. By day 29, Apex Pulse was drowning. Southern Star Freight threatened to pull their contract, and the warehouse was a graveyard of frozen robots, one clutching a tote of yoga blocks like a kid with a teddy bear. My inbox overflowed with urgent emails, and then my phone rang. Evan, the ex-CTO, his Miami bravado gone. "They fired me, Maya," he said, voice cracking. "They know they screwed up. They need you." I let the silence stretch, feeling the weight of 2 years of being invisible lift off my shoulders. "Define need," I said. He stammered about options, but I wasn't playing. I sent a new contract. 6 months, triple my old salary, paid up front, Athena's IP untouched, and a lockable office. "You wrote this like a damn queen," Evan said, reading it. "They'll sign." They did. I walked back into Apex Pulse not as an employee, but as Maya Ellis, owner of Ellis Sync Solutions. The new CTO, some jittery R&D guy, tried to brief me on their recovery plan. I let him ramble, then plugged in my drive. Athena hummed back to life, sync efficiency hitting 99.9% in minutes. The room gasped like I'd raised the dead. I felt it then. Vindication, sharp and sweet. But there was a flicker of something else, too. Power like this was heavy. I thought of Mom, her hands steady on a wrench, and Jaden's wide-eyed texts. I wasn't here to destroy them, just to make them see me. And now they did that. I stood in Apex Pulse's warehouse, my warehouse now, in a way. Athena's lights blinked steady, robots gliding again, the chaos of the lockout fading like a bad dream. The new CTO followed me like a nervous puppy, scribbling notes as I outlined how to stabilize their system, my system. Lila avoided my eyes. Joseph mumbled apologies, and the board sent me a fruit basket, which I donated to Jaden's team. Southern Star signed the contract, but Apex Pulse PR took a hit. Blogs buzzed with headlines like "Logistics Giant Stumbles Over IP Oversight," and I read them over coffee, feeling not smug, but settled. Ellisync Solutions was no longer just a name on a legal form. It was my future, built from the ashes of their betrayal. I thought of Mom, who taught me to hold tight to what I built, and the younger me, burned by that startup, who'd sworn to never be invisible again. I'd kept that promise. Every line of Athena's code, every late night, every ignored email, it led to this moment, where I wasn't just seen, but undeniable that I'm still consulting for Apex Pulse, but on my terms. My office has a lock, my name's on the door, and Athena's heartbeat is mine to command. I drive home through Atlanta's glow, feeling lighter than I have in years. This wasn't just about winning, it was about proving I was enough. To everyone who's followed this journey, thank you. You've walked with me through the grind, the betrayal, and the comeback. If my story hit you, hit that subscribe button and join me. Every line of code, every fight for what's mine, is a story of heart and hustle. Keep building your own truth, and I'll meet you at the top.